They thought you'd be just like everyone else, didn't they? They expected you to chase after them, beg for their attention, to crumble under the weight of their games. But you didn't. Instead, you did the one thing they feared most: you stood firm. You walked away with your dignity intact. And now they're left with nothing but the burden of their own insecurities. This isn't just a story about rejection, it's a story about the immense power you carry. A power that has shaken their entire world. If this message resonates with you, make sure to like and subscribe to Cosmic Harmony. Leave a comment with 77 to send a signal to the universe, and play this video on repeat to amplify its energy and absorb everything that Spirit has for you in this moment. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: You broke their cycle. People like them thrive on control, manipulation, and the predictable cycle of emotional dependence. They have mastered the art of drawing others and making them feel as if they need to chase their approval, affection, or validation to maintain the relationship. This is how they keep their power. They feed off the chase, off the neediness, and the emotional roller coaster they've created. They need you to react, to constantly seek their attention, to engage in their drama. But when you entered their life, everything changed. You weren't like everyone else. You didn't fall for their tactics. You didn't need their breadcrumbs of attention, nor did you fall into their trap of manipulation. Instead of reacting to their calculated provocations, you chose something far more powerful: self-respect. You stood tall, you honored your worth, and most importantly, you walked away. That single act, the act of walking away, was more powerful than any argument, confrontation, or emotional reaction they could have ever anticipated. It hit them harder than anything else could because their entire sense of control was built on the chase. Without it, their illusion of power crumbled. Your refusal to play along forced them to face something they've been avoiding their whole life: their own emptiness. Without your presence, without your energy, they had to confront their own insecurities. They could no longer project their feelings of inadequacy onto you. No longer could they use you to fill the void within themselves. The cycle they've relied on for years was suddenly dismantled, piece by piece. Your absence wasn't just a shift in the dynamic, it was a wake-up call. At first, they might have tried to dismiss your actions, pretend it didn't matter, but deep down they felt the shift. They felt their grip loosening. Your choice to walk away didn't just disrupt their control, it exposed their vulnerability. They weren't prepared for someone like you, someone who refused to play by their rules. Someone who valued their own self-worth over the illusion of connection they tried to offer. And that's the real kicker: they never expected someone who could see through the facade. Someone who could look beyond the drama and manipulation and choose peace, self-respect, and authenticity instead. It shook them to their core. A reflective exercise. Take a moment to revisit the time you decided to stop chasing and simply walked away. Reflect on your emotions in that moment. What did you feel? Was it freeing? Empowering? Maybe even a little terrifying? Acknowledge the courage it took to make that choice. Recognize that this decision wasn't just about them. It was about you. It was about reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your sense of self. Personal insight. Walking away from a manipulative person or situation can feel like a leap of faith. It can feel daunting, as if you're giving up something, when in reality you're gaining everything. You're reclaiming your power. In a world that often glorifies the chase, the constant pursuit of validation and approval, it takes extraordinary strength to walk away, to say, "I am enough, just as I am." This is the moment you step into your divine power. And here's the truth: you will never regret choosing yourself. There may be moments when doubt creeps in or when the manipulator tries to reel you back in. But remember, the real strength lies in standing firm in your decision. It is through this action that you break the cycle, dismantle their control, and prove to the universe that you are ready for something greater. This act of walking away, of standing tall in your worth, doesn't just break their cycle. It creates a new path for you, one where you are aligned with your highest self and your truest purpose. The manipulators will always try to draw you back into their web of control. But as you continue to hold your ground, you will find peace. You will find strength. And eventually, the universe will bring the right people, the right experiences, and the right energy into your life, those who are aligned with your essence and who respect your boundaries. In the end, the greatest victory you can have is to walk away, not in anger or bitterness, but in peace, knowing that you are no longer a part of their toxic cycle. You've broken free, and now you get to create a life that reflects your true power. Remember, the power was always yours. You just had to recognize it. Keep walking forward in your strength and self-respect, and the universe will continue to support you every step of the way. If this message resonated with you, like and subscribe to Cosmic Harmony for more empowering content. Let's continue to grow and amplify our energy together. And if you're ready to take your spiritual journey to the next level, leave a comment with 77 to signal your readiness to the universe. Let's inspire each other, because together we are unstoppable. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and keep walking the path of purpose. Until next time. It wasn't just about walking away, it was about reclaiming your power and stepping into a higher version of yourself. Spirit is affirming that your decision to walk away wasn't a loss, but a profound victory. You didn't just leave behind a toxic situation, you stepped into a new chapter of self-respect, spiritual alignment, and divine favor. You sent a powerful message to the universe: you are no longer willing to settle for anything that doesn't align with your highest good. In that moment, you chose liberation. It wasn't easy. Walking away required breaking free from patterns that, while familiar, were never truly healthy for you. It required trusting that the path ahead, even though uncertain, would be far better than the one you were leaving behind. And Spirit is affirming that you made the right choice. This wasn't just about breaking someone else's toxic cycle, it was about breaking your own. It was about freeing yourself from anything that didn't serve your growth, healing, or divine purpose. By choosing to honor your worth, you stepped into the light of your true power, and the ripple effects of that decision continue to unfold. Every day, as you stand firm in your worth, you're reinforcing your commitment to this newfound freedom, and this act alone is setting the tone for healthier, more aligned relationships in the future. Chapter 2, you reflected their truth. When you chose not to chase, you became something they had rarely, if ever, encountered: a mirror reflecting their truth. For someone who thrives on manipulation and control, this reflection was more than unsettling, it was earth-shattering. You didn't just walk away, you left them with the one thing: they couldn't manipulate themselves. In your absence, the carefully constructed persona they had built began to crack. The illusion of control they had relied on began to crumble. And there, left in the wreckage, they were forced to confront the void within a void they had worked so hard to avoid. People like them base their entire identity on external validation. They construct a persona designed to draw attention, praise, and energy from others, all the while masking deep insecurities and fears. When you refused to play into their game, you didn't just take away their control. You stripped away the very illusions they had built their life around. The walls they had constructed to hide their vulnerabilities, fears, and inadequacies came crashing down. And that was their worst nightmare. For them, rejection wasn't the true fear, it was exposure. The fear of being unmasked, of having their carefully curated image shattered, of finally being forced to confront the reality of who they truly are. When you walked away, you didn't just leave a gap in their world, you left them face to face with their own unfiltered truth. Spirit used you as a vessel to bring clarity into their life, not as a form of punishment, but as an invitation for them to grow. Whether or not they accept that invitation is up to them. Will they continue running from themselves, or will they finally face the truth they have been avoiding? Personal reflection. Think back to the moments when you started pulling away. Did you notice how defensive, reactive, or even desperate they became? That wasn't anger, it was fear. They feared losing the ability to control how others saw them. They feared the dissolution of their carefully constructed identity. And most terrifying of all, they feared finally confronting the truth that had been buried beneath layers of manipulation and pretension for so long. This fear is a reflection of their inner chaos, a chaos you refused to partake in. When you walked away, you refused to engage with the emotional turmoil they tried to drag you into. In doing so, you didn't just protect yourself, you reclaimed your peace. And you set a powerful example that true strength lies in self-worth, not in control or manipulation. It's a moment for reflection. Take a moment now to revisit that time you decided to walk away. Reflect on how it felt when you stopped chasing after someone who didn't value you. At first, it may have felt terrifying, but then a sense of peace began to settle in. That peace was your true power, reminding you that you no longer needed to prove your worth. You didn't need to chase validation. It was already within you, waiting for you to recognize it. This decision wasn't just a bold move towards self-respect. It was a spiritual awakening. By choosing to walk away, you disconnected from the cycle of manipulation and emotional dependency. And in doing so, you created space for something better, for a life of clarity, peace, and spiritual alignment.
Advice moving forward.
If you're still in the process of breaking free from someone or something that doesn't serve your growth, remember, walking away is not a sign of defeat. It's a declaration of your worth. You don't need anyone's approval, attention, or validation to feel whole. When you stop chasing after what doesn't honor you, you allow the universe to align you with the relationships and opportunities that will empower your highest self. In the future, when you feel tempted to engage with those who try to manipulate or control you, remember your strength. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to argue or justify your boundaries. Simply walking away with dignity, peace, and self-respect is the most powerful thing you can do. You have already shown the universe what you're made of, a being of strength, wisdom, and divine alignment. Your journey of transformation is just beginning, and now, as you move forward, you can rest assured that you are exactly where you need to be. If this message resonates with you, like and subscribe to Cosmic Harmony for more guidance on how to live in alignment with your highest self. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We're building a community of people who are committed to stepping into their true power. Let's support one another as we grow, heal, and rise together. Until next time, stay strong, stay aligned, and trust that everything is unfolding perfectly. They never expected you to stand firm in your authenticity. They never expected you to rise above their manipulation and control. But when you chose to walk away, something shifted. Their world began to crumble. The very foundation they had so carefully built, based on deceit and emotional manipulation, started to fall apart. For people like them, control isn't just a preference, it's a lifeline. It's the fragile thread on which their identity, their worth, and their sense of reality hang. Everything they've built, relationships, narratives, and even their self-esteem, revolves around the ability to control how others perceive them and to manipulate those around them to maintain that control. But when you chose to walk away and refuse to play into their games, you didn't just reject their manipulation, you exposed the truth of their fragile existence. You shattered the illusion they had carefully crafted. That was a blow they never anticipated. In that moment, their house of cards, built on manipulation, validation, and emotional dependency, began to collapse. The walls they had built around themselves for protection suddenly seemed hollow, and they were left confronting the void within them. Your refusal to chase them, to engage in their drama, was more than just a simple decision, it was a declaration of your worth. You stood in your truth, and in doing so, you forced them to face theirs. Spirit used your strength and discernment to shine a light on their darkness. Whether they choose to embrace that light or retreat back into the shadows is their choice, not yours. And that is the key. You cannot carry the weight of their transformation. You are not responsible for their awakening or for the unraveling of their illusions. Your role was never to change them, but to transform yourself. This moment wasn't about fixing them. It was about breaking free from the cycle of manipulation and control and reclaiming your personal power. As you reflected their truth, you also stepped more fully into your own. The resistance they showed to seeing themselves was not a reflection of your failure, it was a sign of how deeply your presence challenged the very core of their illusions. And by doing so, you elevated yourself to a place of authenticity and alignment with Spirit's purpose for your life. Reflective exercise. Take a moment to think about one specific instance when you stood firm in your authenticity, even when it was difficult. Was it a time when you called out their behavior? Or perhaps it was a moment when you chose silence instead of engaging in their emotional games. Write this down. Reflect on the courage it took to make that choice. In that moment, you didn't just honor your truth, you set in motion a transformation that would ripple outward far beyond what you could see at the time. As you write, thank Spirit for the strength you showed in that moment. Understand that your decision to stand in truth to break free from their cycle had a ripple effect. It didn't just impact your life, it created waves of change, both seen and unseen. Spirit wants you to know that your role in their life wasn't about changing them, it was about transforming yourself. Their resistance to facing the truth wasn't a reflection of your failure. In fact, it was a sign of how deeply you challenged the very fabric of their reality. And in doing so, you elevated yourself into alignment with your higher self and with the divine purpose that has been unfolding in your life. The love you showed by choosing not to settle for manipulation and control was not just an act of self-respect, it was an act of love for the divine plan that is unfolding in your life. Walking away wasn't a loss, it was a powerful declaration of your worth. As they continue to wrestle with the truth you left behind, you are free to move forward, unburdened and unshackled. This experience wasn't just about them. It was about discovering your own strength, clarity, and the ability to stand firm in your truth. By reflecting their truth, you not only illuminated their shadows, but you also illuminated your own path, one that is brighter, more aligned, and more authentic than ever before. As you continue on this journey, remember that the power to shape your reality lies within you. You don't need anyone else to validate your worth. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You are enough, exactly as you are. And with each choice to stand firm in your authenticity, you continue to align with your higher self and with the divine purpose for your life. Let this be a reminder the world they built was never solid, and neither were the games they played. Your strength and clarity have shown you the power of walking away, of not engaging with what doesn't serve you. When you choose peace and truth over manipulation and deceit, you create space for something much more powerful to unfold. So stand tall in your authenticity. Let the truth you reflect continue to guide you. The universe is aligning with your decisions, and each step you take in your power brings you closer to your true purpose. Remember, you are the light. You don't have to chase validation, approval, or love. It is already within you. And as you continue to walk this path, you will find that everything you need will align with your divine purpose. Trust yourself, trust Spirit, and keep walking forward. The best is yet to come. What they extracted from you was like oxygen to their fragile ego. They thrived on the energy you gave, on your attention, your approval. You were feeding their insatiable need for validation, and as long as you played along, their illusion of power remained intact. But when you finally stepped back, when you chose peace over their chaos, you took that oxygen with you. Suddenly, everything they had built began to crumble. The cracks in their facade, once so expertly hidden, became glaringly visible. With no one left to manipulate, control, or feed their ego, they were forced to confront the truth they had spent so long running from. For the first time, they had to face the insecurities they buried deep within, the fears they ignored, and the emptiness that defined their life. Without you, they had nothing to hide behind. They were left alone with the weight of their unresolved pain and the chaos they tried so desperately to suppress. Think back to how they reacted when you stopped engaging. Did they lash out in anger, trying to punish you for asserting your independence? Did they attempt to lure you back with promises, charm, or guilt, as though nothing had changed? Or maybe they retreated into silence, hoping the void left in your absence would pull you back into their web. Whatever their response, know this: it wasn't about you, it was all about them. Their reaction was a reflection of their own internal chaos. When you refused to chase them, to play into their emotional manipulation, you did more than just stop engaging. You held up a mirror to them. This mirror reflected back everything they'd been too afraid to see: the fragility of their world, the emptiness behind their control, and the depth of their unresolved pain. For the first time, they had to face the truth of who they were without the veil of power they once held over you. This wasn't just an act of defiance on your part, it was a divine disruption. It was a challenge to their entire cycle of manipulation. Spirit wants you to know that your decision to step away wasn't just a matter of protecting yourself, it was part of a higher plan. Your strength in walking away was the catalyst for their collapse. You were a divine force that disrupted a pattern they had relied on for so long. Perhaps you've experienced this before. Maybe there was a person in your life who thrived on your energy, whether it was a partner, a friend, or even a family member. They used your love, your kindness, your loyalty to fuel their ego and maintain control. But the moment you decided to stand in your own truth and let go, they became desperate. They didn't know how to exist without you feeding their need for validation. You might have noticed how they tried to regain their grip, how they tried to manipulate the situation, or how they even tried to guilt trip you into returning. It felt like their world was on the verge of collapse, and in many ways it was. Here's a grounding practice to help you reclaim your energy and anchor yourself in your power. Close your eyes and imagine yourself standing in an unshakable fortress of radiant light. Picture every ounce of energy they tried to drain from you flowing back into your being. With each breath, feel your strength growing, your clarity sharpening, and your heart lightening. Say aloud, "I reclaim my energy. I am whole and I stand in my power." Repeat this affirmation until you feel the full weight of your inner strength anchoring you. Remember, Spirit is reminding you that their crumbling world is not your responsibility. You didn't create their chaos. You didn't build the illusions they clung to. All you did was refuse to carry it any longer. By stepping away, you drew a line in the sand, a boundary that shattered their sense of control and forced them to confront their own truth. Whether they choose to heal from this moment or continue to spiral in their cycle of manipulation is entirely up to them. But what's important is that you no longer carry that burden. You chose to stand in your own truth, and in doing so, you created space for your growth, your healing, and your peace. This was never about changing them. It was about transforming yourself. The moment you decided to stop feeding their ego and playing their game, you opened up the space for your own energy to flourish. The cracks you saw in their facade were your invitation to walk away and reclaim what was rightfully yours: your peace, your power, your self-respect. When you stand in your truth, when you choose to walk away from what no longer serves you, you become an unstoppable force. And in that force, you illuminate the darkness that others may be too afraid to face. You show them the path they are too scared to take. And in doing so, you also show yourself the strength that lies within you, ready to rise and transform every situation you face. So, if you're in a moment where you feel the weight of someone's manipulation or control, remember this: your decision to step away is powerful. It's not just an act of self-preservation, it's a divine disruption that shakes up the cycle of toxic patterns and forces those around you to confront the truth of who they are. Whether they choose to heal is not your concern. What matters is that you've chosen to heal and reclaim your power. And that is the greatest victory. You cannot, and should not, shoulder the burden of their choices. The truth is, your role in their story was never to be their caretaker or savior, it was to be the catalyst. You were placed in their life not to fix them, but to show them what they needed to see: that control is not love, manipulation is not connection, and that power over others is neither fulfilling nor sustainable. Your presence in their life served a higher purpose, one that was ultimately designed to wake them up to the truth they might have been avoiding for a lifetime. Spirit wants to affirm something important, release any lingering guilt, fear, or sense of responsibility you may feel about their reaction to your departure. What happens next is their journey, not yours. This moment of collapse that they're experiencing is their reckoning. It's their opportunity to face the consequences of their actions, the result of their toxic patterns. But for you, this is liberation. By walking away, you stepped out of their shadow and into your light. You reclaimed your voice, your energy, and your power. It's crucial to understand that their fear of losing you was never rooted in love. It was rooted in their deep need for control. Without you, they face the loss of the power they've depended on for so long. Spirit wants you to know that this is not your burden to carry. Your light is now growing brighter, your purpose becoming clearer, and your path more aligned with who you truly are. As their world begins to fall apart, your world is flourishing. You've chosen freedom, chosen one, and with every step you take away from their chaos, you step closer to the fullness of your purpose. Spirit is guiding you toward a life of alignment, peace, and joy, a life where you are no longer just a pawn in someone else's game, but the master of your own destiny. Their collapse is not your loss, it is your gain. It is a testimony to the strength you've found within yourself and the courage it took to walk away. Spirit is urging you, you've done what was needed. Now, step forward and embrace what's waiting for you. There's a brighter future ahead, and it's yours for the taking. This is your time to thrive. Let their world crumble, it was never yours to hold together. Your liberation marks the beginning of something extraordinary, and Spirit is walking with you every step of the way. You are free, you are powerful, and you are exactly where you're meant to be. Chapter 4. You redefined freedom. By refusing to chase, you didn't just disrupt their cycle, you completely redefined what freedom looks like. In their tightly controlled world, where manipulation and control were the foundational elements of their identity, you showed them a truth they were never ready to face. Freedom is not about control, it's about releasing what no longer serves you and choosing to stand in your own power. For them, control was more than a strategy, it was their entire identity. Their sense of self-worth and purpose were tied to their ability to manipulate and ensnare others, ensuring that no one could escape their web. Every relationship they had was built on a foundation of dependency, where they could pull the strings and remain the one in power. But when you made the decision to walk away, you shattered the illusion they'd spent their entire life carefully crafting. Perhaps for the first time, they witnessed someone who refused to play their game, someone who couldn't be manipulated or controlled. And let me tell you, this shook them to their core. What you did wasn't just an act of independence, it was a bold declaration of freedom. You showed them that true power doesn't lie in manipulating others or maintaining control, it lies in being authentic, in trusting your own worth, and in choosing peace over chaos. By choosing not to chase after their validation or feed into their emotional games, you showed them that freedom does not require approval. This act was transformative, not just for you but for them as well, though they may never fully understand it. And in showing them what freedom looks like, you also reminded yourself of the power you hold. Now, think about this for a moment. Have you ever been in a situation where someone tried to control your actions, your emotions, your decisions, or your worth? Maybe it was a partner, a friend, a colleague, or even a family member. Maybe they manipulated you into feeling small, unworthy, or confused, keeping you tethered to their narrative. But the moment you walked away, what did you feel? Was it fear or perhaps uncertainty? Or, more likely, did you feel relief as though you'd finally stepped out from under a weight you didn't realize you were carrying? Here's what Spirit wants you to remember: your decision to step away wasn't just about reclaiming your energy, it was about defining freedom on your own terms. And in doing so, you redefined what it means to live with power and purpose. Advice: if you ever find yourself in a similar situation again, whether it's with the same person or someone else, remember that freedom is not something they can give you. It's something you already possess. Step into it boldly. Don't wait for others to validate your worth or your choices. Trust that your true strength lies in your ability to choose what serves you and to release what doesn't. When you stand firm in your own freedom, you shift the dynamics of any relationship or situation. You become the force that doesn't just play by their rules but creates your own. Freedom is not a passive state. It's an active, powerful choice to honor your own path, to step out of the shadows of manipulation, and to choose alignment with your highest good. So step forward, chosen one, because the world is waiting for you to show them just how bright your light can shine when you live in your truth. Your decision to leave was never just a loss of control for them, it was a revelation, a wake-up call that shook the very foundation of their reality. By stepping away, you didn't just walk out of their grasp, you opened their eyes to a possibility they'd long denied, that life doesn't have to revolve around manipulation, domination, and deceit. Your strength, your independence, and your refusal to chase after their validation became a mirror reflecting a version of life they had never considered. For the first time, they had to confront the fact that true freedom exists, that it is possible to live without the chains of control, without constantly seeking to manipulate others for validation or power. Imagine the inner conflict you sparked within them. One part of them likely clung desperately to their old patterns, still trying to draw you back in, still clinging to the illusion that they could control you. But the other part, the part that cannot ignore the seed you planted, felt the undeniable whisper of freedom. Spirit used your courage not just to free you, but to challenge them, to make them question the life they've built on control. Your bravery in breaking free offered them a glimpse of a life they'd never even dared to dream about, one of peace, authenticity, and real connection, free from manipulation. Even if they refuse to admit it, your actions have left an imprint on their soul, a quiet whisper of what life could be without the chains of control and deceit. This wasn't just about walking away from them, it was about showing them a different way. Think about it, people entrenched in manipulation and control rarely encounter genuine freedom. They live in a world where relationships are transactional, where love is wielded as a weapon, and people are only valued for what they can provide or control. But by choosing yourself over their toxic gains, you shattered that paradigm. For the first time in their lives, they saw someone who valued peace, purpose, and self-worth above manipulation. Someone who refused to engage in their games, who refused to be part of the cycle that kept everyone stuck in a dance of control and deceit. You became their first true glimpse of freedom. Visualization exercise anchoring your liberation. To deepen this realization, close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself standing in a vast, open field. The sky above is clear and expansive, the air is fresh, and the warmth of the sun bathes you in light. Behind you lies the tangled web they tried to trap you in, but it's now dissolving into nothingness. With each step you take forward, feel the weight of their control lifting. The chains are breaking. Your heart opens with the expansion of freedom. Say aloud, I am free. My path is clear. Spirit is guiding me into my purpose. Feel the truth of those words anchor you in your newfound liberation. This freedom isn't just for you. It's a beacon for others still caught in the web of manipulation, a quiet symbol that they too can break free.